All right. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? This is my very first live stream, so hopefully you can all hear me okay. Awesome. I think I see a yes in the chat. Thank you, Stacy. Oh man, it's so awesome to see everybody. Hi, Anne. Hi, Shelby and Brittany, Jules, Daisy, Doreen, Aqua Wins. That's a really cool name. Ramona. Thank you all so much, Karen. So many exciting and wonderful people here. Peos. Peos. I hope I said that name correctly. So happy to have you all here, and glad that you can hear me okay. So you can probably see something right next to me. That's the camera. So I'm shifted a little bit over from where I was this morning, but I'm really excited to do this today. The plan will be for us to create something together. I have a few ink cartridges, and I've got my trusty Pilot Parallel with me, and I'm gonna ask you what colors that you want to see me write with and dip in today. So we're gonna make this together. So let me know in the chat what colors you want to see, and I'll let you kind of work them out while I'm drawing some circles. So I'm gonna switch now to the overhead view, and my plan is to stream for an hour today, and also to do one of the circular designs that I've posted a lot on Instagram to kind of show you and walk through how I do those, and walk through the lettering as well. So I'm going to be writing instructor names from Workshop Week, which I thought would be a lot of fun, sharing some gratitude for all our friends there. So without further ado, I am going to switch to the overhead camera, and hopefully you will see me in a corner and a blank sheet, or sort of a blank sheet. Hopefully everybody can see that. All right, so I'm going to start drawing some circles. I would love to hear in the chat. I have 4 ink cartridges here. The one at the very left here is violet. Second one is green. The third one is turquoise, and this last one is red. So if you have a preference that you'd like to see me letter with, let me know. And then I'm gonna dip in another. Color, and for that I've got yellow, similar to what I had on the what I had in the video. And then I've also got a gold, and I thought it would also be fun to bring out this kind of a like a minty green, and I've also got silver. So hopefully if everybody can still hear me okay, let me know what colors you would like to see. Wow, the chat had frozen for me. I'm seeing all sorts of cool stuff now. This is great. So let me know between these colors what you'd like to see, and in the meantime, I'm going to start drawing some circles so that we've got the border to write with. Let's see, so far it looks like, oh man, looks like blue, maybe turquoise. Maybe turquoise is currently in the lead. Turquoise and silver maybe. All right, so I'm gonna keep letting me know if you have any preferences. In the meantime, I'm gonna start drawing some circles. So my favorite tool for drawing these circles for these designs is this guy, which is this is called the Helix Circle Ruler, and I like it a lot because you literally just push your hand in the middle, and then you can use this tool to write circles. It's got all of these little notches here that you can use to draw the circles without stabbing a hole in your page like what happens with a compass. So I'm gonna grab my pencil, and usually when I'm working on these, I will make them a lot lighter, but just so that everybody can kind of see what I'm doing today, I'm gonna make the circles a bit darker than I usually would. So I just line up the center with the center point of the circle, and then I just look for the hole that's closest to what I want to draw. And the design that I'm going to be using today is similar to what was on the screenshot for the live stream. So that's an inner circle. Hopefully you all can see this. And let's finish out that inner circle. And you see, hopefully, why I like this ruler a lot. Just makes it super, super easy. So I'm just going to line up the next one. So this next circle is what's going to form the baseline of the lettering that I'm going to be writing. And then this next one will be the waistline, or the line that's at the top of the X height. And for anyone that's curious, if you haven't heard some of these snazzy words before, the X height is just the, for a letter like A or C, or N or M, it's just the top, the line that would be right at the top of those letters. So there's a third. So what this is going to be at the end is a circle of text with two borders around it. And then to make it fun, I thought I would do two of them. There may not be time to get through all of this in 1 hour, but we'll get through as much as possible. So I'll draw the other one just so you can kind of see what the intended design will be. And then I'll definitely post the finished result on online and on social media so that you'll be able to see. And again, I'm just using this tool is called the Helix Circle Ruler. So I'll do one more here. All right, just a few more lines and then we'll be ready to get started. Right there. Perfect. I actually need to overlap them a little bit because that was the goal. There's the outer one. All right. So here is my initial design, and I'm seeing some people liking the ruler. Yeah, this ruler is brilliant. It's so handy, and they do have them at Amazon. By the way, if you're interested in any of the tools that I'm using, I do have links to all of them. On my website, that's Blackletter Tools. You can get to it really easy, just blacklettertools.com. But this is available at Amazon. I would also, I'll just be honest with you, I'd also recommend checking your local art store just to see if they carry them, because I was able to find these a lot cheaper at my local art store than Amazon. I think at the time they were like $4, and on Amazon they're around $8. So I would check locally, see if you have a place maybe has a little a better deal. So what I'm doing right now is I draw these radial lines, and what these do, they're basically lines that intersect the circle and just go right through the center. And what these do is they help me line up the text as I'm working. So it helps me just kind of keep them positioned correctly as I'm working around. So I'll draw a few of them here, and I'll just do one circle for now, just because I may not get to write both circles. We'll see how we're doing in an hour. Seeing lots of love for the ruler. It is very handy, and again, it's just called the Helix Circle Ruler. I still remember when I saw it in the store, because I'd been poking holes in all of my artwork with a compass beforehand, and when I saw it in the store, I definitely did a double take and thought, my God, this is perfect. And then when I saw the price on top of it, around $4, it made me very happy. And it's not made of steel. It's not gonna live up to any kind of super tests of strength, but it works just great. Made by Muteria. Sorry, I'm sure I butchered that name, but hello. Mabs is here too. Hey Mabs, you rock. All right, so I just laid out, this is basically all I used to start with one of these circular designs. So I've got these are two borders that are just going to be there for kind of color and fun. And then this middle one, this middle circle is what I'm going to use to letter. So I'm curious what won the color vote. It looks like maybe turquoise won. So turquoise and silver? Awesome, awesome. So we'll do turquoise and silver then and see how this goes. This will be fun. So again, here's my blank, my snazzy empty pen. So here is the turquoise cartridge. And to install it, you just give it a nice shove. You don't have to twist. I did a class once, and a friend mentioned that they had broken the pen by twisting the cartridge. So it's just a little push, and then twist it back on. And then I like to give them a few shakes. So you can see these are the kind of paper towels and stuff that you have around. So I give it a few shakes just until I can see. Hopefully you can see there me dabbing on the paper towel. The ink's already flowing, and that's really it. That's enough to get started there. So let me now. I'm shaking up the silver because this stuff does tend to separate if you leave it for a while. In the meantime, hi. Oh, hey. Oh, this is awesome. Joanne's here too. Hey, Joe. Joe girl. Oh, hey everybody. Kathy, Stacy, so many cool people. Carlos, hey, how are you all doing? All right, so this is the fun part. So, or one of the fun parts. They're all kind of fun. So I shook up the silver, and then I got these jars, also really tiny ones, off of Amazon too. And we'll just drop a little bit of silver into here. I really just I don't fill these up too much. I just put enough that I can get kind of the tip of the pen submerged as I work. So there we go. Just thought I'd find this one other cool tool that sort of helps from smudging too much, is this little dusting brush. So I got some of the flecks from the silver ink. So there we go. We've got some silver ink now in our jar. And I've got the pen loaded with blue. Let's double check this one again. All right, so now we can get started. So I made a list. It's a funny story. When I went to grab the list of all of the names, I did a little bit of, I don't know, maybe you call them calligraphy calculations. And I kind of figured that I would need around 4 meters of circle space, or around 12 feet, to fit all the names. Becca did such an amazing job of getting so many awesome people here into the as instructors. So I ended up deciding that I'm going to pare this down and do a few of these, and then maybe interlock them together, just maybe on the computer or something like that. But they'll all start being done by hand. So I just grabbed a few of the instructors' names to start with, and the rest will end up in there eventually. So the first one that I grabbed was actually Joanne, who's in the chat right now. How awesome is that? So we will start with Joanne for this. So when I'm usually making these, I tend to start in the bottom left corner. I feel like it's kind of a nice starting and end point, just in case you have a gap or something like that you want to play with. It's a little bit easier than it maybe being front and center right at the top middle. So I usually like to start in the kind of the bottom left corner here in this quadrant. But what I'm going to do here, because just in case I haven't planned any of this out this time, I just thought it'd be fun to kind of work on the fly. What I thought I would do here is I'll just start here in the middle. And this way, if I'm working around and then I don't finish someone's name, I'm just going to start it on the next circle and work around that way. All right, so this time, I usually start in kind of the bottom left corner. That's kind of a secret key to reading some of the ones I have on Instagram and stuff like that. But for now, I'm going to start here this way, which will mean I'll need to turn my page. So this will be fun. Let's see. I don't know if I've tried this combination of inks before. This may be a first. And I am using, for anybody that's curious, I'm using Bristol paper for this, which I found holds up well. I think I saw a question in the chat earlier today. It's this paper, and the key here is just making sure it's the ink one, the smooth. I don't know where that is here, but it's right there. So just smooth Bristol. All right, I found that this one it doesn't tend to bleed or anything like that, even with these big pens. So let me see about zooming in a little bit. And hopefully I can stay in focus as well. All right. And we'll get started. So we've got Joanne. Now Joanne's in the chat. I swear to God, I really hope I don't misspell your name, Joanne. This is going to be embarrassing if that happens. But we'll give it a shot. So again, if I'm working from this list, we'll just kind of tick off folks as we go. So I'll start with Joanne. So I'm just going to start with the J, and I'm going to build this alphabet. It's going to be very similar to the 4-stroke method that I talked about in the tutorial today. So we'll start with the J. And what I do for the J when I'm usually working is I'll add just kind of a bracket at the top. So I'm going to dip my pen in some ink, and let's see how this looks. I think it'll be cool. Let's see. Ooh, that's very fun and metallic. And then just straight down. And that's the beginning of our J. Okay, and one other tip, I'll keep working so that hopefully I'm able to finish some amount of this by the end. But one tip that I like to do while I'm working is I actually don't necessarily finish all of the letters while I'm writing. So if you'll notice, I left off the tail of the J and the dot. I like to come in and fill those in because I may add flourishes or other elements afterwards. It'll kind of give me an idea visually of how things ended up getting laid out, because I typically don't plan these too much in advance. I just kind of like to work and experiment. So here we go. Let's do the A. So it's just a slightly modified version of what we were doing earlier, and I'm just going to keep periodically dipping in the ink to get that snazzy transition effect. There we go. So I'm doing the N. That's looking fun so far. Hopefully it's visible enough. Let me know if it looks okay. Oh man, did Becca join us too? Hopefully with her glass of relaxation wine and lots of pats on the back for an amazing day. Everybody, please definitely give it up for Becca. She's done such an amazing job this week. It's been so amazing to all of us. I think one of the real miracles here is if I can keep talking occasionally while not ending up writing what I'm saying. So here's the E. So E for Joanne. Now, E is actually one of my favorite letters. It may seem weird, but I can do a really tight E if I want to. I'll sometimes add really long like final strokes for the E. Let's do one just for fun today. We'll go super long today. So here it's a really long top for an E, and then I could just end it there, or sometimes I pull it in and then maybe add some more snaz to it. So Joanne got a really fancy E today. Awesome. So now I'm going to do the last name. While I was initially planning, I thought about using 2 different pens with 2 different colors for different names, but then I thought I'll probably end up juggling so many pens that a mistake was inevitable. So L-A. So that's my A, and hopefully if you can tell from, oh no, I did get it right, that's A. I was saying hopefully if you can tell from before, I'm really not adding too much. I'm still using the same basic strokes that we did before. There's our U. And I don't know about you guys, but I like to do some fancy Z's. So my Z's have descenders, or they have bits that stick underneath the baseline. So I'm going to start here. And sometimes when I do this, see, people think like it looks ridiculous at first because it just looks like a tiny like superscript Z. So I promise that's not where it ends, but I like I like pulling it down further, like so, and then I've got kind of a cool descender to play with again. All right, and I'm to all of my friends here on the stream. Thank you for picking blue and silver. This is looking pretty awesome. This is looking pretty awesome. Really, you guys are awesome color experts. I may need to borrow you for some like color selections in the future. Just sometimes spend too much time thinking about color pairings and stuff. But this is definitely a good call. So O and then N. Awesome sauce. There we go. And we've got Joanne's name almost completely done. Just minus these finishing elements that hopefully, if there's time, we'll tie in here at the end. Awesome. So of course, I've got to do Becca's name. She's awesome. Oh, her huge thanks for organizing all of this, and I hope your throat's doing okay too, Becca, because that's probably a lot of talking today too on camera. So next we'll do Becca. So quick dip, and let's do a big long ascender this time. So here's Becca, and I'm keeping these. I tend to write them like very close together, and sometimes like what I'm doing today, just to kind of keep it simple, I'll just do the minuscule letters, just because I kind of like that look of where everything, it almost looks like something from Lord of the Rings. If anybody is a cool geek like me, I don't know if I'm cool, but I'm definitely a geek. But the lettering that was around the rings, I kind of like that look where everything is just kind of one fluid line. So now we'll do the E. So again, I'm gonna, since I've started with this kind of super fancy long E, I'm gonna do the same thing here, and just keep it consistent. Oh, thank you, Doreen. I appreciate that. I mean, I'd like to think I'm a cool guy. Oh man, there are definitely, we've got another cool geek friend from Tinland Studio in the house right now who made some really cool cosplay gear of the Mandalorian. Anyone else love the Mandalorian? I'm definitely a Star Wars nerd. All right. So here's the C. I'm not going to dip again, just because now I can tell that it's getting very silvery. So I'm just going to let the blue kind of flush through again. So now to the A. All right. That's Becca. The paper's a little big, so I usually work on 9x12 for these types of things. This is 11x17, just to try to make the two circles work. So let me just do one more to get some more of that blue out. So Becca, and then maybe we'll do a slightly bigger C. Like so. Give it the fancy inside there. And I'm going to try to stay on camera too. Becca said so schmancy. I couldn't even say that. I agree that I may be borrowing that word from now on. And there's the O. So you can see I'm just dipping the pen periodically, and that's what gets these really cool ink effects. And then one really fun tip too is if you work with these images a little bit like in software, and then you turn these black and white, the dark parts obviously end up getting brighter because you're doing the inverse, and the lighter parts here end up getting darker when it's converted to black and white. It can create some really cool designs just by converting an image into black and white. So we've got Becca. I just noticed COUR. That's heart in French. All right. And then we'll do the T. Do a tall T. This is where that arm movement comes in handy. There's the I. So for anyone who can't, you can't see, but right now the page is like literally halfway up my chest because it's so long. All right, and then the C. All right, and you all are awesome. This is a really cool color combo. And then the E. I'm looking in the chat right now. It's like someone who did a midnight showing of which movie? Return of the King. I think. Oh yeah, that's Lord of the Rings, right? Yeah. All right, all right. So, and again, I'm leaving the crossbars and the dots for the end because I tend to like to do all of those. Maybe some fancy flourishing with those at the end. Like I'm already getting the idea. I could do a swooshy crossbar on the T that loops back around and dots the I. So, but in any case, that we've kind of got the skeleton for Becca's name now, or that kind of the core bits. So there's Becca, and since Paul was super kind, there we go. We'll check off Becca's name. Since Paul was super kind and joined us to illuminate us this morning, I figured I had to put his name in here for sure too. So we'll start with Paul. Maybe for these capitals, I'll just do a slightly modified lowercase and just start a little bit higher. So for the P, I'm gonna do straight, and then maybe for this one, I'll just pick up the right edge of the pen, and that'll give me kind of a long-looking stab there. So I'll go just a little bit higher for the capitals here, and then I just did a very just a slight loop for the P, and connect it there. And now I'll do the A. So I'm literally balancing the page on my chest and then grabbing the ink bottle periodically. So PA. We'll do U. And the last one, L. We'll get a little bit of silver back. So when you do dip, that first, sometimes that first dab on the page ends up being very juicy with ink. So sometimes I may even just like push it around a little bit with the pen, or I might just do a really quick dab just to get the stroke started, and then pool a little bit of ink that I can then pull a little bit more easily, rather than having kind of a glob at the top. So here we'll do another slightly taller A. There we go. And man, one of these we'll have to do writing on black paper. That's fun too. So there are white inks that you can actually use with these pens too. Okay, and then the N. This is where it gets fun because I've got to move the page around in all fun ways. Looks like Becca called it for the evening. Have a good night, Becca. Thank you so much for coming. If you're still here, definitely agree with Doreen. Sweet dreams. Thank you even for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and for everything you've done this week. And we'll do the O. So now we're on the N. So you can see there was kind of one of those juicy initial dabs. And then the I. And that last O. And if you could tell while I'm working, you can see where this is where those radial lines that I mentioned before, if I slide them down on the screen, radial lines that I mentioned before, this is where they really come in handy. Oh, it looks like Terrence is leaving too. Thanks for stopping by, Terrence. Have a great evening. He was the definitely my Mandalorian friend. All right, so we got Palo Antonio. Next I've got Mabs on my page. So let's get Mabs. So we'll do a slightly bigger M here. M. And sometimes while you're working with these acrylic inks, have a good night. Sometimes while you're working with these acrylic inks, they can start to dry out the tip of your pen a little bit. So I often will keep like just a little jar of water here with me as well. This one you can tell I've been dipping in a little bit. And then every once in a while I can just dip the tip of the pen in there and just wipe it off just to get some of that excess acrylic ink off. You can probably tell why now. I'd mentioned generally I would not try to put any of these acrylic inks into the pen to flow through it. They're just great for dipping just because they wouldn't make it through the feed and would potentially end up clogging them up. All right, now the A. We're getting pretty close to finishing up this first part of the circle. Now the B. And again, just to help get the straight lines, just more of an arm movement, which is less pronounced when you're using the smaller size pens. All right, so Mabs now the cool Z. That came out with all sorts of ink. There we go. Just ending there. Let's just keep going with, get some more blue out of there. Mabs and B. I'm actually curious too. Can you all hear music going on in the background? I tried to get this to work with some music, but when I loaded up the stream myself, I couldn't hear anything. So I'd be curious if you hear anything in the background, or if it's just possibly my computer fan buzzing. Oh, no music. All right, I will have to fix that one next time. And there are actually a few ways to handle two S's. I'm just going to write them simply in this case. So we'll do here just one S. And again, for anybody who's keeping track from the workshop earlier, I really haven't done anything too much more advanced than the 4 basic lines that I was using in the workshop earlier today. Thank you, Doreen. I appreciate that. Shelby and Brittany also doing another project. That is awesome. Yeah, there's so much valuable stuff to learn this week with all of the amazing workshops. That's right. I feel like I need to take like a month and just enjoy all the videos and try out all the cool skills. All right, finishing up the N. All right, look at that. We're pretty close to having that whole first circle done. Oh, thank you, Susan. That's very sweet. Thank you. I'm just Brisson. All right, so let's see. Let's try Peggy, and then we'll see how much room we have in here, because I'm getting close to the end of the circle. All right, so let's try Peggy Dean. And the fun part, too, when you get to the tops here is that hopefully by the time you've reached this edge of the page, all of this is dry, but it is usually a good idea to put something under your hand, or if you have patience, which is not probably my best quality, I just love to finish this stuff. If you have patience, you could also wait until your ink dries, but I always end up with ink on the palm of my hand, just like I did in the workshop today. All right, so we said we're going to do Peggy's name next. All right. So since I did kind of one of these P's that has a vertical bottom like that, I'm going to replicate the same one. All right. And for anyone who has parallel pens too, you can actually also change the colors just by dabbing the tips of two different pens next to each other. Like this is one of the smaller ones. If you just touch them with the ink you want to flow in the direction that you want it to go, touch them together, you can actually get a transition to happen there. I won't do that because that pen was empty, so it'd be just a little ridiculous probably. So let's get Peggy. And again, I'm going to be consistent. Using this style of an E since I've started with it. And a long tail for the G as well. And we're going to have another G. One more there. All right, almost finished the whole circle. I'm just keeping the blue ink for a little while just to, I was noticing that because of the acrylic, the ink was flowing a little bit more slowly, so I'm just going to let the blue kind of flush it out a little bit more. There we go. It's Peggy, and then Dean. So now we'll dip and get a little bit more of the silver. And curving the top. Checking in the chat, and I see Shelby and Brittany just got Procreate. That's pretty awesome. Procreate's amazing, and you can actually even do blackletter or Gothic lettering in Procreate too. Oh, I almost used a different D, so let's pull it up the top. Yeah, I'm sure Jimbo's tutorial was just amazing. He's literally a wizard with Procreate. Oh, see the lovely leaps are in here too. Yeah, Procreate is an amazing, amazing tool. There's so much you can do. Oh, well, thanks for joining us, Joe. Have a really great night. Okay, I'll do the N. All right, we got Peggy Dean. All right. So there isn't a whole lot of space over here, but I'll start. Let's do. I had Jillian and Jordan on here too. Let's try to get. How are we doing on time? 6:40. Let's at least get. I don't know if Jillian or Jordan is with us, but I'll at least start with Jordan's name. And then if it runs over, we'll move over into the other circle. All right, J and then the O. Jillian and Jordan, they're awesome too. Amazing. Everybody in workshop week is amazing. I mean, and hey, you know what? It's looking like Jordan's name will be the perfect fit to finish off the circle. I think they've got just enough room to get all the letters in. There's J-O-D. Swoosh for the D. I call them swooshes. I'm basically 12 years old. So just to make sure they fit, I'll do a slightly tighter A. Look at that. I think we're good. And sometimes I'll even dab mid letter. All right, it's a tight fit. There we go. We got them connected at the end. All right. Hopefully I have not gone off camera. And now, hopefully you can see. I'll zoom out a little. Look, that's what we just made. Go team. Go team. Really cool colors. Oh, looks like we're losing Mabs. Take care, Mabs. Bye. And let me just make sure I'm still in focus. All right. So look at that. We just made that together. So as I'm wrapping these up, usually what I'll do next is I'll add just like a kind of a center stroke to each of the letters. I feel like it kind of adds an interesting consistency and look around the circle of the around the circle. And yeah, Lords of the Workshop Week. Maybe that's kind of in theme with what I just wrote here, kind of the style. So what I'll usually do is I'll come in next and then just kind of add these, assuming the pen works, just add these little diamonds. So we'll just come, and I add them at the end because it helps me be able to kind of write them consistently in the same rough location between letters. And then when you dip, sometimes you get a cool glob of ink like what just happened. But it'll dry eventually if you're patient enough. Okay. So now these little center strokes, I may even just add a little one there to the Z. And sometimes I like to have the colors contrast, so I like to have kind of the dark blue against the lighter silver, just to get the color contrast there. Great question. Looks like from Yvonne. Oh, Anne's made it too. Welcome, Anne. How long do I typically wait? That's a great question. Before erasing the pencil lines, I'll usually let it dry at least overnight. That's kind of my best case scenario, or maybe even a couple of days, just because. And again, it does depend on the ink, but just because if you do try to erase too soon, then you will end up with smudges, which it doesn't have to be the end of the world. You could maybe find a way to incorporate them into the design. That's what I did with the workshop week video. Is I ended up with some smudges on the page, and rather than just throw it away and start over, I just went ahead and tried to find a way to add it into the design by adding the dots that I added by tapping the pen on my finger. So I'm a big fan of trying to be just creative and not worrying too much about mistakes. We all make them. But yeah, the short answer is definitely I would wait typically overnight at a minimum before erasing the pencil lines. All right. Good question from Ramona. Yeah, I would say you could call these spurs. I've seen them referred to as a bunch of different things, but I would certainly trust any of the awesome instructors. So hey, for tonight we'll call them spurs. So I'm adding my circles of spurs. My pleasure, Don. Thank you for joining us. So this is my technique for writing when I'm impatient and I just want to keep going. Is I'll end up propping my pinky up outside of the circle or something like that, and then using that as a rest so that my arm doesn't end up on the ink. Inevitably, I'll still end up with smudges, but it's fun. It's pen life, loving the writing, and getting ink everywhere. All right, so just going around in the circle, almost done. Oh, thank you, Noah Lettering. Thank you very much. I knew Dindy Singer could make a bridge. I'd be curious. I'd definitely be curious to hear more about that idea. See if I've smudged. I'm always checking if I've smudged anything. We'll see. Just keep working with the pinky technique. I usually just embrace the smudges. But if I am working on something that I really do want to be more finished, then most of the time I will be patient and wait at least overnight to let everything dry before going in and adding too much more. And another thing that you can do too is just start something new. Start working on a new piece, and then maybe by the time you finished or made a decent amount of progress on your new project, the old one might be dry by then. All right, cool. So there we go. Now I've added the center spurs. If everybody can see here. This is the fun design that we've so far created tonight. Pinky I'm glad you like it, Aqua Winds. Is Amanda asking if those are pinky dips? Like pinky dips with it? Yeah, I guess they would be. Pinky dips with the pinky out. If anybody has a better technique, I'm thrilled to learn. But this is just the technique that I've developed over the years working like this. All right. So now, as you can tell, we've got the basic circle design. And I realize I'm getting close to the hour, but I'll at least kind of show how I would finish these letters. And then the final step is always adding the outlines, which is, for me, I find it a lot of fun. It's definitely time consuming, but I really enjoy that process too. Maybe I can even start a few. So So now I've added my center spurs, and now I'll look at kind of all the descenders and look at what space that I've got available. So it looks like they're all actually pretty well evenly split. In this case, I probably just will want to flourish out in this direction because there's more space or empty space over here. So let's try. I call these slow flourishes. They're not. I don't plan them, but I will do them a little bit slower rather than like a gestural flourish where you just flourish really quickly. So for this, I'm going to use my pinky technique again, which makes it a little harder. But it can still be done. So in this case, maybe I want to flourish a little bit in this direction. I've got more space. So I'll curve this line out this way. So this is the J in Joanne's name. And then I'll use the corner. And it looks like the ink is getting clogged in the tip there. So let me do my quick water dip. The parallels do also come with this. Like if you do get one, I definitely recommend not losing this black slip. It's specifically for this use to clean. If you could tell there, might be hard. But if you could tell, a bunch of stuff just came out of the nib. And that's probably what was clogging it up. So that little slip is very handy. So now you can see the ink's flowing a lot better. So let's go to the right. So maybe I'll just do something like so. And then add a little curve over here. And maybe, yeah, we'll call that good for that one. The Z I'm also going to send to the right. Maybe I'll pull it in towards the center a little bit too. So let's start with this kind of a line. And see, that's why I like doing these Z's with descenders. Sometimes I'll even make S's with descenders. Yeah, I see someone, Nola Lettering, saying, oh, that's what the black thing is for. Absolutely. And that thing is so easy to miss. I'll show everybody where it is. So maybe this time with my flourish, I'm going to come back in this direction. And then do a little swoosh over here. And we'll finish, let's just finish it right there. There's a cool flourish for the Z. The P, I won't add anything to the P. Maybe let's go back around. I've got another Z over here. Yeah, you definitely don't want to throw them away. They're actually really, really handy. I'll show everybody, assuming I have it. Yeah. So if you do get a Pilot Parallel pen, the slip lives right underneath those ink cartridges. It's right there. So you absolutely do want to hang on to it, just to help cleaning between the two metal plates. So let's see, the Z for Mabs. Let's go. Maybe in this case for the Z, I'm gonna try to curl the flourish this way. In which case I'll curve this line a little bit out this way. That'll give me an opportunity to come out to the right. And then I don't know. I feel like it's coming inward this time. So, okay, we'll just end that there. Ended up being an interesting one. So now I've got these three flourishes here, or three descenders. So I'm going to work with the first one. And I know I'm probably going to want to go to the right just because there's a lot of descenders right there all at the same spot. So I will just do, let's see, I want to go to the right. So we'll curve this way. Tanya's saying this feels like the workshop after party. Cool. I'm super excited for us to have an after party here. It feels like workshop week is just as good as the Oscars, right? Or some other fancy event like that. Okay, maybe we'll connect them here like that. So just ended up sort of connecting these two descenders, and then for these, I might cross the lines. Like, let's just test that out, see how it looks. I might cross this here and just maybe even leave it like this, or just give it a small tail. And then for this one, maybe we'll just even give it a small line like that. I feel like maybe this got a little bit cluttered, but it's the fun of working on the fly, working live. I like it, Doreen. Better than the Oscars. I'm with you. I'm with you. Workshop week's been amazing. Okay, now the J for Jordan. I will do a little bit of a curved one like that, just because we had a lot of flourishes around. All right, now I would typically just come back and do the eyes, or the dots on the tops of I's and J's. So here we'll do, so we've got a J, because I know this is going to intersect with the other circle. I won't go too crazy with it. So I have that kind of a flourished dot. Then there's Joanne. We had Becca. So the T. If everybody remembers, I mentioned an idea for the T here. Up here. So I'm going to do like a really long flourished crossbar for the T. So we'll start here. And then I'll pull it up. Then I'm going to go thin. And we'll let this line just continue to dot the I like that. And that's again why I leave all of these to the end. Sometimes I may just come in with a short one, sometimes with a longer one. So here's Paul Antonio. Just for a little bit of consistency, we'll just keep it similar. Maybe I'll even connect it at the top there. And then here's an I. Thank you very much, Dindy. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name okay. And then Mabs. There's the I. These are somewhat consistent. And then Peggy Dean. And then Jordan. We'll do... Hopefully I'm not smudging. That's what I'm always checking for. There we go. Jordan got a fancy J top. All right, and then I'll honestly just kind of keep working through this design, and I may fill in other areas with just some additional flourishes if I want to, like maybe in these spaces. Sometimes I'll come in and add like additional elements. The top, like I could finish a D out like that, just to add a little more snazz to it. And so I would just go around and add those. So we're at 6:58, getting pretty close to the end of the stream, but maybe I'll just show real quick before we wrap up for the day. And I would actually also love to hear if people would like to see another stream in the future, maybe writing on black paper, or we could create some other colored ink combinations. I mean, I don't know. I may go with the same blue silver for this other circle, but maybe we change it out for the second circle. I don't know. I'm very interested to get your suggestions. So now for the outlines, I'm actually thinking, I'm feeling like I want to use blue, so I'm gonna go. Looks like I may have frozen in the video. Sorry. Okay, one of these is blue. Interestingly, it appears as though I've frozen. Okay, it looks like, oh, orange for the other circle. Yes, more streams, more streams. Absolutely. Well, I'm planning to do one again, or I was thinking of doing one again sometime in the next couple of weeks. So next week or the following week. Gold and black. That sounds like fun. I love gold and black. So gold ink on black paper. That could be fun. Cool. So I'll just show real quick, and then we'll call it a stream. Hopefully you all don't mind hanging out with me for another 5 minutes or something like that. even though as far as I can tell, the video feed, at least the important video feed, is still going. I'm still under here. So what I usually do, and I do these all by hand, just is kind of come in and fill these little areas with outlines, which is it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too. I'll usually just put on some favorite music and then just start drawing outlines. And I'll often, like I would usually do that for this, but it's currently underneath my desk. I would often use a magnifying glass just to help from making my eyes worse than they already are and having to visit the optometrist too frequently. But magnifying glasses really do help. They have the kind that clamp onto your desk. And that's what I would usually do. So it would just be a process of just kind of finishing out the entire circle with these outlines. And I would usually be very careful. Oh, thank you, Ramona. That's really cool. Becca said she wants to buy this from me. Oh man, that'd be really fun. I will definitely have to let her know. I absolutely plan to share the finished product online. So yeah, the rest of this is just a lot. Oh, good night, Jillian and Jordan. Bye, everyone. So yeah, the rest is really just a lot of doing outlines. And you can, I mean, I could do the outlines in red. That's another area. Now, I've already done the blue, so I've probably committed to blue, but I all of a sudden felt like I really wanted to use red for the outlines, which could be fun. And then you could even come back and fill in the gaps and stuff like that too. So hopefully everybody can tell. And then by the end of that, you'll have kind of a more finished piece. Let me grab one from next to me. So if you can tell, I followed a very similar process for this guy. Just using different ink colors. So here, this is the original one. So different ink colors and doing the outlines and stuff. Took a while, but it was a lot of fun. But you can create some really, really fun effects with this. So what we did is we basically just wrote one of these circles. It's a lot bigger because we have so many amazing instructors at Workshop Week. But this is what you can end up creating with the finished product. Amazeballs. I like amazeballs. Thank you. That's very kind. Thank you all so much. Well, I'm gonna plan to do a stream again, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So please let me know if there's anything you'd like to see. Maybe black paper, that'd be fun for the next stream. And if you have anything else, please feel free to reach out. Instagram, social media, website, email, any way you want to reach me. I'm around and I'm always happy to help. So for now, I hope you all have a fantastic night. Thanks for being a part of Workshop Week. And love you all and hope you have a really, really good night. I'm going to call it an evening and we'll catch you next time.